We are live, episode, the news segment 421, Better on Draft Podcast. My name is Ken. Real quick, before we go into the news segment portion of it, last week we had the, I think it's maybe the second or third, because Matt hosted it a few times, the Better on Draft, which we drafted breweries and organizations to create our own major conglomerate. With that in mind, Dan, you were able to see all of them.
I was.
Who, first, second, and third place?
Nick, Wendy, you.
Oh, well, fuck you. Your opinion doesn't count. And in fact, I demand a recount. I don't think all the votes were, counted yet. And yeah. Let's see. I got so many. It's like old podcast days. I got so many open cans of bottles next to me. I've got a Missouri Loves Company, which is the shtick alt out of Missouri from their Brewers Guild. I also have a can from Hop Tea, the Hop Lark Sparkling Water with Mosaic and Wakatu. In my draft glass is Barking Mad from Pavlov's over in Temperance, Michigan. And I just cracked open a Baltic Anomaly from New Holland with my now broken bottle opener. So I'm going to have to write a letter of discontent with that because I've barely used this. And it's also stayed in my office this entire time, so it's not like it went like in the garage and it got hot and cold or anything like that. Like this just busted.
Just broke.
Yeah, I have no idea where I got it either. So it's called a Cap Bounce, Cap Boom. I don't know. Anyways, what are you guys drinking?
Well, I am finishing up my tart strawberry M43, which is delicious. But I also, my best friend went to Wisconsin to visit her family and brought me back some New Glarus. So I have this Road Slush Stout. It's a really good stout, but I had one the other day and it did not taste as smoky as it does right now. So I don't know if that's because I'm drinking it with the tart strawberry, but it's interesting.
And Dan, what about you?
So I must really hate myself. I dug into the vault of former guests that we've had on here. Hopefully I don't hate this too bad. I've got a Clown Shoes Space Cake. If that one's really bad, I've got a Clown Shoes Rainbows Are Real.
Oh, I love
those both have to have fallen off so much.
Oh, I'm sure they have. It's been at least a year.
I was going to say, I don't even remember when we had Clown Shoes on the show.
It was last summer. It was last summer.
So we'll see.
Well, we are talking about the craft beer news this week. Starting off with my little topic that I want to talk about, just because I think it's big in the news right now, which is they released the top 50 craft breweries based on production. And there are a few things of note as you look into the system itself, is that there is a lot of breweries that are in the system that are mergers and acquisitions. These are the brewery conglomerates that have kind of gotten together. They've, merged together. They've put their assets together, which include folks like Craft Ohana, which is Modern Times and Maui Brewing, Made by the Water, which is Catawba, Oyster City, Palmetto, and Faubourg. We have a few other ones that made it the list, but I think the big one that everybody has been paying attention to is the, again, massive jump by Athletic Brewing, going from somewhere in the mid-20s to number 13. So a true NA brand being the number 13 brand in the industry, the craft beer industry itself. We also have obviously the 1, 2, 3, which I think is no surprise to anyone: Yingling, Boston Beer / Dogfish Head, and Sierra Nevada. Did you guys get a chance to look at the list? Is there a shocking brewery that you are surprised to see on there, or a brewery that you're happy to see on there? Number 25, Trogs for Wendy. But there's... Go on, Dan.
I was gonna say the one that actually caught me is Kona. I didn't realize they were brewing that much. I know it's a crappy Anheuser-Busch brand at this point, but it kind of surprised me. I didn't realize they were putting out that much beer, or that people were drinking that much of it.
So the Kona Brewing is their Hawaii operation, which is not owned by AB.
That makes it even more interesting. I'm kind of curious what they're doing there. I intentionally skipped it when I was on the Big Island last time because I didn't know it wasn't owned by Anheuser-Busch. Mm-hmm. So I'm really kind of curious what they're doing out of there to produce that much beer now, because it's a really, if you're not familiar with Hawaii, the Big Island is very much less populated than Oahu is. So Big Island, not a lot of people. And then a smaller city on top of that where it's at. So it's kind of interesting to see that.
I think along with Kona, because obviously they are providing to the state itself probably a lot more, since that's the Hawaii operation is not owned by AB. New Glarus still being number 12 is huge, because obviously New Glarus is still Wisconsin only. That's impressive. So right up there with number 13 being Athletic, which is NA only, and number 12 New Glarus being Wisconsin only. I think both of those are massive breweries that are doing well. But the one thing that I noticed in here, which is Three Floyds is still a top brewery, and while they do a lot of distro, they have closed their tap room, so they have no tap room sales anymore. Everything is now distro. So that's all they do is distro. We've got Dark Lord Day coming up too. You can pick it up. Yeah, but I mean, that's still a lot different than, because I mean they were still running their to go side even when the tap room was open. So when people would go, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to the brewery just to grab to go stuff to bring home from. Before it got distroed here, obviously, but 2 cases of Zombie Killer, and I can easily not resell it, but here you go. 12-pack, $20. Come pick it up yourself. And there are a lot of people who would come do that for a 12-pack of fresh Zombie Killer. I still remember the day where I had I tipped a 6-pack of Zombie Killer, because every beer, like I was doing like a beer tour over on the west side of the state after that, because I was driving from Chicago to Grand Rapids, and every bartender or waiter that I asked, I said, you have a choice. I could tip you your 20%, or I can tip you this very fresh brewed yesterday Zombie Killer. And everyone took the Zombie Killer. But yeah,
it's a good beer.
I mean, that's all you. I'm not a big fan of it. I love their gumball head. You know that.
Yeah.
Is there another brewery that surprised you, Wendy, that's kind of in the top list?
I was just kind of looking at the list again, because I did go over it when we first posted it. I have no idea what Matt Brewing Company is.
Which one?
Matt Brewing.
Oh, okay. I see it. In Utica.
I found interesting. So I've been trying to look it up, and there's a lot of different websites. So I'm not 100% sure if it's just like one brewery. It does say that it was the fourth oldest family-owned brewery in the United States.
Yeah, so I think that's one of those breweries that they manage in like the Northeast area and don't necessarily hit us here in Michigan. But Saranac, which is the brewery over there, they're the ones that get a lot of beer and brewing over there, that just people buy it up over there. So we just don't see it here in Michigan. It's not distroed here in Michigan. So we probably just never heard of it, and they've never really had like a hype beer. And I think those are the two things that really, either they get distroed here and we know who they are, or they're a hype beer because they have a hype brand or a hype, like New Glarus Spotted Cow is a hype beer outside of the state of Wisconsin. Strawberry Rhubarb is a hype beer. Like, people know what these beers are. Therefore, they know, but we don't know too much about Saranac or Matt Brewing because they service their community in the Northeast area. I think for me, one of the big things that I'm surprised we're still not seeing like major growth for to overtake is Canarchy. While they are 8th currently, I'm surprised they aren't making moves and getting a little bit higher. Than say they got Stone above them, which, Stone's been having some issues with regards to what they're selling, or how much they're selling, I should say, and potentially being bought out. We've had plenty of these other guests on our show, like Duval, Boulevard, Artisanal, which I'm trying to think of who. I don't know if we've
Southern
had
Tier.
Southern Tier, yeah. Victory. Gambrinus, which is basically, mostly Shiner and then Tolmer pills. But yeah, they still can't overtake that with the amount of production that they have. And that Perrin production facility is huge. I mean, I guess it's small in comparison to that Shiner production facility that we saw.
They sure got some of my money last week.
Oh yeah, we just had No Rules Day.
I have to say that online salesman, that it's amazing how quickly you can spend that much money. It took me a matter of 2 minutes to buy my allotment, and I don't want to talk about how much I spent.
Your own set allotment. You could buy whatever you want. There was no rules. You can buy
most things did not have a limit. There is no rule. There are a couple things that they had limits on, but like the glasses, because the glasses sell out every year. That's crazy. Which this is the first year I haven't bought a glass, so I guess I understand why they have a limit.
Because I have too many pint glasses still, and I've given them away so many times. Unless it's like a specific type of glass, like I just cannot buy a glass anymore.
It's too many.
Yeah, like I love that Teku glass that I got from Dragon's Milk, the triple mash release, or not the triple mash, the bourbon release.
Yeah, you sent me a couple of those. Those are pretty good.
I mean, I do
like the style
nice.
of the No Rules glasses. Those are the glasses that my dad tends to break when he is doing the dishes. So,
well, there's no rule, so he can do whatever.
Requested that I not buy those for a while until he retires and drives away in his RV.
So here's the one that shocks me. Looking at this list, is Gordon Biersch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know anybody that drinks that beer? Like
at
anyone?
The airport.
At the airport,
yeah. At the airport.
Every time at the airport.
So they're the airport brewery is basically what they are.
Yeah.
There used to be one here in Tempe. There used to be a Gordon Biersch. The only other ones I can think of are at the Delta terminal in Detroit and at the Salt Lake City airport. Like, you don't see them out in the wild, so it kind of surprises me.
It's an airport beer. That 100%, I believe that's where they're making their money.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a handful of like actual sites themselves, but yeah, I think a lot of people just drink them at the airport. And like when you're turning out that many customers in a day and everyone's trying to decide where to go, and especially because Gordon Biersch is at the end of a terminal. Yeah, that's not surprising to me at all.
100%.
I mean, even Michigan, because we have Gordon Biersch, we have Jolly Pumpkin, and we have Atwater.
Those are in different terminals, right?
The Atwater I know is at North or whatever it's called now. Jolly Pumpkin might be at Delta, but
Jolly Pumpkin's on the other one,
at Atwater or North.
Maybe.
I just don't. I go to the Delta Lounge and I go to the gate.
If I'm not at the Delta Lounge, I'm at one of the ones on the either end, which is Gordon Biersch on one end and the Atwater like open air pub at the other one. Or no, it's the Eastern Market. They call it the Eastern Market Beer Garden or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. The Eastern Market Beer Garden's on the other side. Yeah, I think everyone kind of has drank it at Gordon Biersch because there's not like the Atwater Brewery is still It's just a tap room. It just has a handful of Atwater tap. Like, it's a name. Like,
Right.
I think...
Well, that's what they're all going to be, especially at the airport.
Mhm.
Like, it's not like they're brewing beer there. Like Great Lakes and the Cleveland airport, for example. Like, it's not like they're brewing the beer there.
Uh-huh. I guess that makes sense, yeah.
I don't know. I was very happy to see Harpoon when I got off the plane in Boston. There was a Harpoon tap room right at that gate. And we actually stopped before we even left the airport to have a beer.
I think Boston also has a Boston Beer Works.
Yeah,
it,
I sent
not
you
Beer
pictures
Co,
of that.
Beer
Like,
Works.
Yeah, it was
Right.
like an off-brand. It was good beer though.
Oh yeah, I went to
I've
one of the
tried it.
breweries when I was staying outside of Boston in like Worcester, and just like, oh, I want to go to a brewery for lunch, and then it's a nice little. It felt very chainy, like
It is a chain.
What's the Granite City? It felt
Yes.
very Granite City like.
There's one in Salem. It's exactly the same as the one in Boston.
We went to a neat little brewery when we were in Salem. I can't think of the name of it now. But it was a small brewery.
Is that Notch?
I think it might have been Notch. I don't know.
Session beers?
I couldn't tell you. It was so long ago, and by long, it was like a year and a half ago. But, yeah, Dan, what's the article you want to talk about today?
Oh, let me get back to it here. So, slow news week, apparently outside of the top 50. But apparently, and this will all throw back to our younger days, at least it will to mine, is that Diego has refreshed Smirnoff Ice. Same swag, different swag, apparently. So the 23-year-old brand, which is the same age that the thing of Gen Z, is being refreshed for the younger legal drinking age consumers that have gravitated towards new flashier beyond beer entrants, such as White Claw and High Noon. I'm trying to even think what High Noon is. So, but Smirnoff has debuted a brand reinvention to show the true classics never fade. They only get better, according to the press release. So what I want to get into, we've talked about this before. We've seen, for example, Sam Adams go through a refresh, which I personally think is absolutely terrible. We've seen Fat Tire go through a refresh. Is this something that people are doing or I should say companies are doing to try and save their brands, or is there something behind this? Are these newer generations going to drink Smirnoff Ice because I look at the colors here, they're pink, they're orange, they're green. It's not just the off-white color that they all used to be, and they're different flavors now. Is this really what consumers are looking for now in 2023? Ken, let's start with you. I'm curious.
Yeah, so the beer one makes sense. And the reason I say that is that with Fat Tire, you know what Fat Tire is not? Voodoo Ranger and Voodoo Ranger Hazy and Voodoo Ranger Double I. Like, Fat Tire is the probably number 15 to 20 selling beer in the New Belgium repertoire, because the top 10 is easily all Voodoo Ranger and Voodoo Ranger aside beers. That's going to be same for Boston Lager. Like, Boston Lager, everyone knows what it is, but the top selling beers from Boston Beer Company are not Boston Lager anymore. Like, it's
what do you think they are? Now that's kind of curious. When I think Sam Adams, I think Boston Lager. What do you think their top sellers are?
Their Wicked series, the Just the Haze beer.
So they're NA, like Just the Haze.
Oh, that's right. That is the NA.
Yeah.
No, just the Wicked series then. So they're hazy IPAs.
Wow.
I mean, I think that's what everybody wants these days.
Yeah, that's interesting. I
agree with that.
Like,
I don't know if I do either.
Look at Lager of the Lakes. Like, everyone's complaining that Lager of the Lakes changed from a Bohemian Pils to I think just a lager, and now everyone's all pissed off, and I'm like, it's not the top selling Bell's beer. Like, people don't care about it. Like, Bell's had a refresher on one of their beers, and it's just what they're going to do because it's not Oberon and Two Hearted. So I think a lot of people, I think the refresh news clicks, and media and press. So they're getting all of that. And that people who are, the people who are complaining, like, people complaining about the new Fat Tire probably haven't drank Fat Tire in a year or 5.
I wouldn't even try the new Fat Tire personally. It's an airport beer. We talk about it all the time. It's that beer that's on tap at the place that doesn't really have craft beer. They have like Sam Adams, that sort of thing.
Shock Top.
Like Fat Tire. Yeah, Shock Top. Yes. We just talked about at the bowling alley. But like, I'm not going to try the new Fat Tire that's no longer an amber. Is it a blonde, if I remember correctly? So
I don't fully recall.
I'm looking for it. I'm going to try it and see how I feel about the new one.
I had it. It's not bad. It's just different. That's all it is. I had it at the Brewsology Beer Festival. And it just existed. I mean, nothing really to write home about, but honestly, Fat Tire wasn't really anything to write home about. It was great when you couldn't get it.
I was just going to say, think about how times have changed. Pre-Michigan being able to get Fat Tire. Ken's driving to Indiana and bringing cases back. Now here we are sitting in 2020. They're like, oh, whatever.
Well, we're sitting in 2023 because I'm drinking a limited release alt beer from Missouri because it's so much easier to get your hands on beer these days versus others, whether it's distro, whether it's because you could drive to Ohio or Indiana, just like it was with Fat Tire. You're only limited to the limitations of what the beer release is. Like if you, Dan, begged me for KBS because it's all sold out over there, I could literally go walk to the corner store here and buy every variant and ship it out to you in a day.
I remember when we could do that here and you couldn't do it there. And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah, but that's the thing is that the ability to get beer these days is not as hard as it was, 10, 12 years ago when Fat Tire wasn't even in Michigan. But now everyone's complaining that Fat Tire changed and Boston Lager changed and Lager of the Lakes changed. But in reality, there's so many other beers that you probably weren't even drinking those in the first place. Like the reason
Lager of the Lakes,
the reason they changed is because not enough people were probably drinking it. Like, sure, you can make an argument for Boston Beer Company against my argument that I have for Fat Tire versus Voodoo Ranger. Sure, great. You probably there's probably numbers out there. I could probably reach out to Bart Watson to get them. But like, nobody gave 2 shits about Fat Tire in 2023. That's why they needed to do this, or it was going to be a dead brand.
Right. I do have to tell you that I remember when it first came to Michigan and we were out for New Year's Eve one year and they didn't have any craft beer. So I was drinking Fat Tire and my friend kept calling it Flat Tire. She honestly thought it was Flat Tire the entire time. It was pretty funny.
The whole Flat Tire beer.
My dad went to the New Belgium Brewery in Colorado, grabbed 2 growlers of Fat Tire, went there, bought it, called it Flat Tire, bought it, brought it back to Michigan, kept calling it Flat Tire.
Ken, I got some Flat Tire for you.
Like, I knew what he was saying, but it was just it wasn't necessary to correct him because he's bringing me back draft beer from Colorado that he kept on ice in coolers for days as he drove it back. So
That's amazing.
I ain't questioning him.
She thought it was hilarious that she was calling it the wrong thing all night. Of course, it might be because she was drinking liquor.
So that's my thought on it is that, so High Noon, by the way, Dan, is like a vodka spritzer, like
gotcha.
RTD vodka drink. They might have like a tequila drink too, or a rum drink, but I just know them for their vodka RTD can.
So here, one more hot take for New Belgium. You know where they failed and they really should have went with this? Do you remember the Ben and Jerry's brown ale? It's like the brown ale.
That's like way early in the Better on Draft days too.
Yeah. For why they never made that beer again I think they would have had a lot. They would have had a hit on their hands if they would have stayed with it. Just my take on that.
Yeah, the salted caramel brownie. Wow. I forgot all about that beer.
Yeah,
That was
their best beer by far that I think they've made.
Well, anything with salted caramel in it is good. I'm just saying.
I'm looking at the box, the little 6-pack box for that beer, and it says employee owned, and I'm like, oh, not anymore. I mean, employee owned, employee sold. Like, they sold it, so I can't. It's
right?
just,
yeah,
Let's be honest.
fair.
I haven't had a salted caramel beer, a salted caramel stout yet that I have been disappointed in.
yeah, that's literally.
You haven't been?
That I haven't been disappointed in.
Oh, nice.
Or
Yeah,
that I
same.
have been disappointed. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, same. They're always good.
I'm
That-
a fan. I will say though that the only way that Smirnoff Ice is going to get me to buy it again is if they cut some of that sugar down, because my whole life, even when they first came out, I can't drink that because it's so much sugar. It gives me indigestion after like half a bottle.
So the good one was the Smirnoff Ice Black, which was less sweet. If I remember, it was almost like having squirt and vodka. So I wish they'd bring that back. That was a good one.
Right?
Yeah, the Smirnoff Ice Triple Black, I'm pretty sure that was a mainstay at a lot of parties because it was a easy drinker for the people that wanted to drink, but we didn't have booze.
We got Smirnoff Ice.
I mean, there was a lot of times like Dan and I were at some type of like tailgate, and that's all you're drinking is whatever's in the coolers. So we'd always have to get something that would be for the more not beer drinker, and Smirnoff Triple Black was always the easy go-to, especially at a bar too, when you're buying rounds for everyone and you know someone doesn't want to drink a beer. Smirnoff Triple Black was that. We did see they had a cooler at that bowling alley we were at of Smirnoff, and and Nick pointed it out, and it was just so funny to see because I'm like, God, I haven't seen Smirnoff Ice in so long.
Well, they're bringing it back, just like polio. They're bringing it back.
Well, here's with Smirnoff Ice. I mean, you got to go up against all these RTDs now, and you got to get some news and some press. So you might as well.
How'd that Zima return go?
Wasn't that a limited thing that they just did one time?
I think they did their job. I think they.
I don't know. I didn't even buy it.
Yeah, I think
we all know we drank Zima back in the 90s, so
I didn't.
I did.
Yeah, I was only like 10 back in the 90s.
10 with no hair.
Hey. Wendy, what did you want to chat about today?
So my article, considering that one of my picks was Molson Coors, I found that in USA Today, there was an article this morning, actually, that Belgian customs in Antwerp seized a shipment of 2,352 cans of the Miller High Life in February and literally crushed the cans when the consignee of the cans in Germany did not contest a decision that they made to destroy them. Apparently, the trade group that protects the Champagne region of northeastern France of their designation of origin and its trademark asked that the beer be destroyed, saying that the label designated it as the Champagne of beers infringed upon the region's designation and trademark. Is this the first time that High Life has gone overseas? Like, how is this just now a thing?
What?
They literally destroyed 2,352 cans. And apparently, the people who bought it didn't contest the decision.
They're like, whatever. So wait, where were these 2,300 cans going?
They were going to Germany.
Were they in someone's suitcase? I'm confused.
No, like they were shipped. Like somebody bought them in Germany, and they were being shipped over. And they stopped in Belgium,
and they were like, whatever. Like,
they were
whatever.
hey, this says champagne of beers on the label, and the champagne, I can't even pronounce the name of the thing. It's like committee something that is.
Are you telling me they don't produce High Life in Europe, so they have to like bring it over?
Apparently.
I mean, probably not.
$12 can of High Life.
But is it really the first time it's at? Well, I bought that at the Royal Oak Music Theater the other day, or a couple months ago.
It's one of the cans they have there.
Ridiculous how much they wanted for a bottle of High Life.
$15 bottle of High Life.
They wanted $8 for a flipping High Life. I was like, what does that M43 cost?
Probably like $10.
Because at my at the local pub that I go to, the $2 draft night, M43 is $6. It's the only beer they don't put on sale for $2.
Yeah, I was in Traverse City. I felt I was getting ripped off because the M43 was $9, but the Bel Air Brown was $4.50. It's like, well, shit, what am I doing?
Yeah, Wendy was saying you can get like $2 pints of Locals Light, and I'm like, I would crush those all night for $2. Hell yeah.
I was drinking a Horny Monk from Petoskey for $2 a pint, but if I wanted an M43, it was going to be $6, which normally they're $8, so they give you $2 off. But still, I just thought that was funny that the High Life, they've never sent it overseas before. That
I feel like they have, but it's probably the way that the distribution went for this one purchase. Like it went through a weird way, and or maybe every single time like that it goes through this region. Because the thing is that Molson Coors didn't respond to the issue, which is why it got destroyed.
There's two things that are killing me.
It was the people who purchased it.
Oh,
there's two things that are killing me here. Who's the Poindexter that was like, well, this says champagne of beers. Like, who is that nut job? And then who are the guys that bought this? They're like, oh, whatever. Like, just destroy the cans of beer. Like, what is happening?
2,000 cans of beer. They decided to destroy.
No big deal. Yeah, no big
whatever.
Deal.
Here's what I'm going to say though is that the 2,300 cans were destroyed. It looks like if somebody had already purchased them, it might have already left the coffers of Molson Coors, and therefore they made their money already. And now they have all this press.
Right.
Like, USA Today is covering it. I'm sure there's a bunch of other sites like A Porch Drinking, A Brew Bound, like both internal sites and external sites are going to carry it because they said they destroyed them. Is there a video of them destroying the beers?
There is.
Yeah, click on the article.
So the committee, I'm not even going to even try to pretend like I know how to say that is. I just totally clicked to a different article. Committee champagne or whatever is what it looks like. But the people who make sure that the trademark is being used properly, were like, oh, it just shows you how committed we are to making sure that you're using your trademark correctly.
Because people are confusing Miller High Life with champagne.
Right. Yeah, I thought that came from Champagne. I thought it was from France.
I thought that,
what is this? Very disappointed it's not champagne.
I feel like they need to like contract a brewery in Champagne, France now to make Miller High Life, because then it's in Champagne and you can call it the champagne of beers. And I feel like this is an opportunity they need to take advantage of right away.
Molson Coors, get on this.
Well, we'll have the link in our show notes for sure. So you can go check out the video of 2,300 cans of beer getting destroyed. Sorry to those folks who are High Life fans. R.I.P. The champagne of beers in Champagne, France.
What a waste. So sad.
That is going to do it for the news segment of the Better on Draft podcast. Again, we are off next week, April 28th. We'll be back on May 5th. We are off and on for the next month and a half, just because there are beer festivals for us to attend, and we don't want to miss them. that means that you do not get content. So we are sorry. Go listen to some of our old episodes, plenty of old episodes to listen to, including some of the top 50 breweries that we've talked to, including Yingling, Boston Beer Company, Boulevard Summit, Maui Brewing, Modern Times, all of these breweries we've had on the show. Go check those old episodes out. And no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's better on draft. Have a good night.
Cheers.